Hey everyone, GGinspire going live today. Going live is the new trend. Everybody's doing it. Super pumped about it. It's going to be awesome. Today's topic is the bounce back. So I'm sure some of you guys have no idea what that means, and some of you do, but that's okay. Very excited. You know what's really cool is that I don't think a lot of people. I don't tell my story that much anymore, but I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in business for 10 years. And I'm constantly learning how to be better, how to be a better me. So, you know, every day that goes by, I'm trying to find new ways to inspire myself, but also inspire others. I used to be in medicine, like my parents told me, go to school, get good grades, one day you'll have a great job and you'll have a great life. And it really turned out that that's not the life that I wanted. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize that, and they're turning towards being an entrepreneur because they have the freedom, they have the time, they're able to design the future that they want and create the kind of happiness that they want for their lives. And how nice is that? So, hey Summerly, hey Kevin, hey Angie, how you doing? So thanks for joining us. It's gonna be an awesome day. So the bounce back, that's what we're gonna talk about. So hey, if you guys have questions on even what is the bounce back, let me know. I wanna make sure, you know, put them in now. Don't wait until I start to get into my topic because I wanna make sure I get them answered and I don't miss them, okay? But do me a favor, share this, invite your friends. Oh, Andy, you're at Disneyland? That's awesome. The happiest place on earth. I went live from Disneyland not too long ago. Enjoy, that sounds so much fun. But share this with your friends because, you know, so many people out there are like going through the daily grind and trying to figure out if they are going to be able to reach what they thought that they'd have in their lives when they were kids. And most of them won't because they're not willing to take the risks and they're not willing to get outside of their comfort zone enough to do this. For me, for the most of you guys who know me personally, I'm naturally actually an introvert. I'm like a forced extrovert now, but going live and putting yourself out there for everybody to see, that was something that was totally uncomfortable for me for a long time. But at the end of the day, how do you grow? You got to put yourself in uncomfortable positions and get better because of it. Like we don't win because we don't learn from like the win, right? We learn from failure and you know, not getting to what we wanted or, you know, the uncomfortable part of it, doing things that are outside of our comfort zone. That's how we grow and that's how we get better, right? So I'm going to share with you guys some of what I've learned along the way as the journey, the bounce back, right? So resiliency, the comeback, you know, being able to come back from like pushing through disappointment, failure, fear, mistakes, tragedy, obstacles, heartbreak, all these things that are like almost paramount in our lives. And every single person that's even on this live with me right now or is later watching this video knows that they've had one of those things in their lives. And it's a consistent thing. That's like the one thing that we know in life will happen is that we will have challenges again. We will have obstacles. We will have heartbreak. We will have disappointment and failure and fear. You can take the bank. You can take that to the bank, right? It'll happen again. But how are you going to deal with it? Because so many times in our lives, those things happen and they level us. And they're like, have you ever thought like something happened to you and you wanted to retreat? Like you wanted to just like run and hide and pull the covers over your head and just not answer your calls and not answer your texts and just block out the world. But the thing is that the problem didn't go away. It was still there. And even if you were swirling it around in your head multiple times, it's still there, right? And you still have the responsibility to take it and learn everything you can from it and get better and bounce back faster because the skill is the longer that you're on this earth, the better you're supposed to be at bouncing back from obstacle, right? Like I had setbacks this morning. They happen, right? But how long are you going to be in the valley before you get back up to the top of the hill, right? So like I'll give you guys an example. We just had an event and it was an event that I put a lot of work into and I wasn't really happy with the result. I was disappointed. I was frustrated. I was sad. I was bummed, right? And it didn't happen the way that I wanted it to. And I went home and I was like, so frustrated, right? Like I felt like a failure. I felt like I missed some things. I messed some things up. But how long could I really do that? How long could I really stay in that valley? How long could I stay worrying about it, right? So funny, the other day I had I was drinking water in my live and Facebook like happened to take the frame of me drinking water and that was the one that they posted out. It was hilarious. Maybe Facebook will do the same thing this time. I don't know. Or Instagram, whatever. But it was hilarious. I was like, drinking water, really? Like, at what point of the time did they take the freeze frame? I have no idea. Anyway, so my point is this. I had a challenge happen, right? Hey, May, how are you? I had a challenge happen, and all this stuff went on, and how did I deal with it, though? Does it do me any good to lay in bed and be upset about it? No, I have to learn from it, right? So I'm sure some of you guys have questions about how to better deal with your challenges, how to go through and get better at going to the next level and improving the way that you deal with them, right? So a couple things that I wanted to touch on. So one, reframe the setback, right? Take a look at it again. I actually got some of this information. I should quote it. I got some of this information from Psychology Today, because I think that this is the kind of thing that, like, a lot of people won't necessarily listen to, or they won't read themselves, but they need it. And if they're going to get the information, they're going to get it this way through social media. Hey, Tanya. So reframe the setback, like playing it over and over and over and over and over and over again in your mind, like a loop. The same thing over and over is not going to necessarily get you the answer, right? It's not going to make you feel any better. You're just like almost like beating a dead horse, beating yourself with like the problem, the challenge. I can't believe that happened. I'm so bummed. I'm such a screw up. Like, I can't believe they did that to me. They broke my heart. Like a tragedy, like something happened, right? But if you spend your time reliving the obstacle, hi, Stacy. If you spend your time reliving the obstacle, it's going to be worse, right? What you have to do is you have to try looking at it from an outside perspective. Maybe try looking at it from an outsider who's maybe not so emotionally involved in the outcome, or involved in whatever the situation is between two people, or whatever tragedy or obstacle that happened, right? You have to take an outside perspective and try to look at it a different way for somebody else's perspective, and maybe you can gain some clarity along the way. Because I'll tell you this, what I've learned in the time that I've been on this earth, life doesn't get easier, but you do gain more clarity along the way, and that's what I hope for. That's my wish for you, is to be inspired, but also to be able to gain more clarity in your life so that you can make better choices and make better decisions long term, right? So try looking at it from another point of view so that you're not so emotional about it, okay? So 2, focus on what you missed, right? So what did I miss in that situation? What might have I been able to do differently? How might I have been able to prevent that thing from happening, right? If I had taken this step, maybe this would have happened. Like thinking about what you might have done to change how that outcome played out, that takes you off of the emotional side of how upset you are that it happened, right? So now we're thinking logically. We're taking the emotion out of it, and we're thinking, how could I have changed it? What could I have done better? How could I have said it maybe in a different way that wouldn't have upset that person, right? Did I miss some cues? Like if you got laid off from a job, did I miss some cues? Did I miss something? Somebody broke up with me. Like if I was just so focused on like how everything was so wonderful, or like my job was so wonderful, focus can actually distract you sometimes, because we humans tend to focus on things that make us happy, right? That are good. And so we downplay the things that may be wrong. And so even as a leader, for me, like I tend to focus on all the good, but not want to talk about the bad, right? If you don't focus on the bad, you can miss things that are really important, that all of a sudden you feel like all of a sudden they sideline you, but there was cues and like evidence along the way that was cluing you into that was going to happen, right? If somebody's like giving you critique, right? Where there were critiques or certain things that happened or concerns that were expressed, or someone said, hey, maybe you should think about that. Did you just go like, yeah, no, that's not real, right? Did you just totally deny it and pretend like it was just them making it up? Or was it something that you maybe should have listened to at that point, right? Okay, so focus can cause actually like unintentional blindness, because if you're focused on one thing, you're ignoring everything that's over here, and that can cause you a problem. And when you're ignoring certain things, like you should have, as much as you can, a 360 view of what's going on around you, but you're not always able to do that. You got to look around sometimes. You can't be so focused on one thing that you miss what's going on behind you, right? Because it's, there was a study that was done about these kids, and they were given a video to watch, and it was about these people dribbling a basketball. And so their job was to count how many times they dribbled the basketball, how many times. But while they were watching the video, like a girl came like running through there and like jumped into like a gorilla's arms and then ran off. But most of the people didn't see it because they were so focused on counting the dribbles of the basketball. So are you missing the invisible gorilla, right? Is the gorilla invisible in your mind? It's that big. Other people see it, but you might be missing it. So make sure that you're focused on taking a look at everything that's going on around you, good and bad, okay? So that thing that happened to you, did that fear of failure help to make that happen? Did you have a fear that something like that might happen? Did you worry? You know, did you put that in the universe? Like some people think like, oh, that universe talk, whatever. But did you put in the universe that you were fearing that something bad might happen and then it happened? Like, did you actually bring it about? Or did you avoid doing what you needed to do because you feared that the result might be bad? And sometimes I have that goes on in my life because we all have, I think, a tendency to kind of procrastinate a little bit and do things like that. But you never, the thing is that if you don't give something the attention that it needs, the result that you don't want to happen oftentimes will happen, right? Because you have to, sometimes you have to put attention at it to prevent things from going wrong. So that's really important. And I hope you guys, please ask some questions, my gosh. Also, if you guys have ever had a fear of failure or a fear of, you know, tragedy, or if you've had disappointment in your lives, like these are things that I think it's important to get out there. And the more that you share with people some of the things that you're concerned about, the better you'll be and the freer that you will be. You know, we talked about it last week. When you share your adversities and you share things that bother you, then they're like about this small, then you don't have to worry so much about them. And then the last one. Okay. So this is the last one that I wanted to go through. And then I had a couple of questions that actually were sent to me. So I'll go through those with you also. Okay, so the last one is find the positive, right? Sometimes you need to focus on what makes you happy. Sometimes you need to take a step back when you've had heartbreak, you've had tragedy, you've had failure, you've had disappointment, you've had fear, you've had obstacles. Like sometimes you have to take a step back and get some space between you and your thoughts, right? And what I do is when I'm feeling like down or I'm frustrated or something like that, I go and like if it's the middle of the day, I go to my daughter's school. I go and I go and I look at them and I play with them and I spend some time with them and I just remember like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I subjecting myself to some of the crap that I have to deal with? Why am I doing that to myself, right? It's because I love these girls and it's because I want them to see a winner and I want them to see us succeed. And so, and I don't mind taking the hit so that they don't have to one day, right? And some people think I'm crazy for that. Some people are like, you need to spend as much time with your family as you can. And, you know, I can't believe that you spend so much time working. Like I do work a fair amount, but you know what? I have the freedom to make choices and go and do as I please. And so in the middle of the day, I don't have to ask anybody's permission if I can leave. They don't get to dictate to me how long I can be in one place at one time. I can go anytime I want, right? And for me, that freedom means everything. And I want the opportunity to be able to do that and share with my girls what life is because I've chosen to do the work and put the work in to create a great life for them. So you guys have to understand that like disappointments will always happen. They'll be there forever. But your preparation, and preparation is learning how to be mentally tough. Preparation plus opportunity equals success. So get after that, right? Prepare yourself for adversity because it's going to happen, right? Don't expect like, don't be like, oh my gosh, something bad happened. Yeah, it happens all the time. It's just a different thing. It's just a different scenario today than it was yesterday or last month. But expect that there's going to be adversity all the time so that when it comes, you're like, oh, that's it. Okay, anyway, I can just focus in the other direction on what I need to do so that that's in my rearview mirror, okay? So, oh, I have a couple questions. Okay, so when you have a setback, what are some of the things you do to keep a winning attitude? So I think I covered that. Like, I think the biggest thing that I like to be able to do is take a step back and focus on the things that make me happy. Like sometimes for other people, it might be like, you know, they go to the spa or they get their nails done or they go to the beach or they just take a drive or they're just like, I just want to be in quiet. I don't want to be around anybody talking to me. Nobody asking me questions or doing anything. But you have to figure out what that is so that you can take a step back, do it, and then you can come back refreshed. Now, if you drive away and you keep driving, that's a whole other thing. Like, don't do that. because that's just running away. But that's what I do. Like it helps my attitude, helps my mindset. The other thing I like to do is go work out, you know, because I'm a much more positive person when I work out, and I get out a lot of the energy that may be bad. And it also makes your blood flow and all these things, increases oxygen, like endorphins, all these wonderful things that you're supposed to do, which I need to do more of. Okay. Regaining confidence is a challenge. What do you suggest? So when you have your confidence shot, or you're feeling bad about yourself, right, and your ability to perform, or your ability, maybe you feel bad because of what you said to somebody, like, oh, I'm not a good friend, or I'm not a good person, you know. I think one of the things that you have to do is you have to start reminding yourself of all the things that you're grateful for about your personality, about who you are, right? Because we're all cut differently, right? We're all made differently, right? So we have to remember that there are good things that we bring to the table, and we have to remind ourselves of those, because it is so easy to beat yourself up and be like, oh, I'm not perfect, or I'm not this, or I don't have the nicest car, or their sweaters and their boots are, you know, cuter than mine, and blah, blah. I mean, those are stuff that goes through my head, like, oh man, how's my outfit look today? Like, I mean, those are things that go through my head, but like all of the time, you have to be reminding yourself of all the things that you are grateful for, right? That you do have, that you do bring to the table. And so if you're reminding yourself of those things, you're not thinking about all the stuff that bothers you, right? Do you think challenges and adversities are basically wake-up calls? Yeah, in some ways I do. Like, because if we're denying stuff, like I was telling you, that if you're focused on other things long enough and you're not giving the energy and attention to something that needs it, you are in a position that you need a wake-up call. So sometimes, like, it has to slam you, you know what I mean, and in order to be able to make you realize, oh my gosh, I have to make some changes in the way I operate. So yeah, in a lot of ways, I do think they're wake-up calls. As a part of bouncing back, do you reset your goals? Yeah, I think, you know, here's the deal. Not necessarily, right? So I think that resetting your goals is a good thing, but part of the challenge is that we set goals that we want to hit. And even if they sound impossible to us, what we're not doing is putting enough effort towards those goals. So I don't necessarily say you reset your goals. I think you reset the effort that you're operating at in order to be able to get to those goals. Because those goals, you still want those goals. It's just part of you has lost confidence and you don't think you're going to be able to get them, right? But if you can reset and like almost ignite the kind of effort that you put towards those goals, that's when you're going to be able to make it happen. It's the effort. It's not the goal. The goals are, I mean, every single goal is reachable. There's no goal that is not reachable, but it's how much effort are you putting towards that goal in order to be able to make it reality. That's what it comes down to, right? And as an entrepreneur, when I have a setback, should I spend time to see what I did to cause the unwanted results I got? Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I was talking about your perspective, about like kind of going back and thinking like, what could I have done differently? What could I have done differently? I went, actually, one of my friends, Jessica, and we went to North Carolina a year or so ago, and we were going into meetings and we were talking, and then after every meeting, she's like, so how was that good? How was that bad? And it drove me crazy. She's like, how could we have done it better? What could we have said? This, that. And I was like, oh, it's so annoying. But it was really helpful, right? Because it really made us think like, oh, we could have said it a little bit differently this way when he said this, or when they said this. Maybe we should have, you know, let that go this way instead of the way that it went. So it's good for you to be constantly introspective so that you can grow and improve. And it doesn't have to take years for growth. Like, it can take months. It could even take days, right? If you do it the right way and you're focused on the right things, you'll grow a lot faster. If you allow yourself to have those uncomfortable conversations, either with other people or yourself, you'll grow a lot faster and you'll get a lot better, okay? If you have a team, what are some of the ways you strengthen their belief? Oh, that's good. That's good. In most jobs, if a boss makes a mistake, all employees lose faith and the boss is labeled stupid. Oh, geez, that's kind of scary. What can an entrepreneur do to prevent this, especially when social media is acting as the break room? That's funny. You know, the world is a really different place, you know, and sometimes what happens is that people make mistakes. And as a leader, I think that, you know, take a look at what's happened in the news. Whenever somebody makes a mistake and they go, yeah, I blew it, I'm sorry, I totally made a mistake, it's gone. It's not news anymore, right? But it's when they deny it and they're like, well, no, I mean, I didn't really do that. It wasn't this way, or, you know, I kind of, and then they try to like pass the buck and blame it on other people, then it snowballs and it gets worse and worse. If people would just be honest and just say, yeah, I screwed up, right? Like I didn't take care of this, I didn't take care of that. If they would just own up to it and take responsibility, like if the boss did something dumb and came in and was like, hey, yeah, man, like that was the worst thing I could have done, but you know, let's learn from it. Let's not do that again. And then their employees have nothing to talk about anymore, right? And it's like there's no water cooler talk on social media, I guess, because it's not worth it because they've already owned up responsibility. It's really easy to talk trash about people when they don't own up to it, right? That's what it is. Okay, so I hope I answered that one. And then last one I have, when you fail, your support system, family, and friends start to doubt you. How do you handle that? Well, you have to keep fighting. You have to keep fighting, and you have to keep believing. Because at the end of the day, like, you're in it for your family, right? That's who you're doing it for. Hey, Carolyn, hey, Jason, and Christina and Matt. I didn't see you guys come in. So most of the time you're doing this business, your job, you know, your activities, like you're putting together a family dinner, like you're doing these things for other people, right? You're working your butt off for other people. And so at the end of the day, like if you're not perfect and things don't happen the way that you want them to, or they want them to, like I said, you need to own up to it, but you also have to figure out, well, am I giving my best effort? Should they be having faith in me right now? Or should I just take an actual hard look, like an objective reality look at what am I doing? Am I really getting stuff done, or am I wasting a bunch of time, right? So you have to take that look at yourself, because they're losing faith in you or belief in you because you're not getting a result. You're not getting the result that you said that you were going to get. So why aren't you getting the result? Because the family losing faith in you, that might bother you, but that's not the reason why it's happening. The reason why it's happening is because something isn't happening. Oh, Carolyn's so sweet. They're losing faith in you because something isn't happening the way that you said it. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do to make it happen? Like I talked about the other day, like, are you going to 10x that effort? Are you going to go full out? Are you going to go a different direction? Like, but you need to make a decision, and you need to stick by it. And it's not a decision that you're going to stick by today and then you're going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be easy again. It's always going to be a challenge. Every day living in this world and being successful the way you guys dream that you want to, it's going to take effort and it's going to take time. Don't BS yourself and think it's going to be like, well, you know, I just put the effort in and it's like I put it in the toaster oven and it's just like, poof, it's ready. Like, it's just not going to happen that way. And I'm so tired of people thinking that they're going to like magically appear, like they're magically going to develop a business and they're magically going to develop like, you know, this wonderful relationship and this wonderful marriage and family. Like, that shit takes work. You know what I mean? Sorry. It does. And so I'm so tired of people thinking like everything's going to just be like, poof. You know, it doesn't work that way. And it's constant work. Like my husband and I, we work all the time on our marriage, on our relationship, right? And there's times where I'm like, okay, I have to figure out how to communicate with you in a way that you understand. But all good things take work. So if you're going to spend your time and go after something because you say it's important to you, you've deemed it important to yourself, then it's worth your time and effort, and it's worth you taking like the good and the bad, the ups and the downs, and making use of it, right? And making use of it to make you better so that you can create the life that you want. Because for me, and I'm almost done, and I don't have a lot of questions besides what we got online, but for me, I do this because, you know, my husband laughs at me. He's like, this is your opportunity. Actually, Jamie, one of our mentors, Jamie Villalova, she's like, this is your opportunity to like get out and give your opinion. And then once you do it, like you feel better. And I was like, that's true. I like that. But yeah, there's no mute button on you, babe, for sure. So this is that opportunity to be able to inspire people to have a great life, but also ignite a fire in them, right? Because sometimes what happens, I see people all around that are going through life, they're like wandering generalities. They're like, yeah, well, I'm just secure and this is fine. And, you know, I'm just kind of going through, and they don't have the opportunity to have a great life. Like, you deserve to have a great life. When you were a little kid, were you dreaming like, oh, I was going to be working in a cubicle and typing people's stuff and I'd have a boss? No, you were not imagining that kind of stuff. You were imagining that you were going to be like a firefighter. You're going to be an actor. You're going to be traveling. You're going to be in the space shuttle. You're going to be doing all this great stuff. And yet it didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? because you gave up at some point. Because somebody told you, oh, that's going to be hard. And then you went, oh, I'm going to go the other direction. Or somebody told you like, oh, that's a lot of studying, or that's going to cost a lot of money, or that's going to be too much time, or, you know, oh, there's a lot of competition. I mean, somebody killed your dream at some point, right? So if you still have those dreams, go freaking after it. Like, stop letting other people and their ability to think that they are not able to do that, or they wouldn't want to because of what they're fearful of, keep you from hitting what you really want to have in your life. And so I'm just going to leave you guys with this. Like, be inspired to have a fabulous life, to have a knockdown, drag out, incredible, great life. And you can actually be happy too. So if you see this message and you're like, gosh, she's super fired up, right? I want to share this. I want somebody else to see this crazy girl in the glasses ranting her ass off, excuse me. But I want you guys to realize, like, be inspired to have a great life, and you too can do something incredible. So take care, have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.